What does Rosh Chodesh Kislev mean to us today?
In general, in our relationship with the Rebbe, and also to the extent that we understand it, in terms of the Rebbe himself. The whole Ein of the Rebbe is life. The whole Ein of the Rebbe is vitality, life, chayes. Like the Chazal say, some people, when you see them walking the streets, are not living. Other people, even when you cannot see them, they're living. The metzias of a Rebbe is godliness on the highest level. And of course, as a symptom of this bittul to the Eibush, a symptom of this godliness, there's an enormous amount of chayes and oir and simcha and all good things. Years ago, people could have talked about this question and considered it controversial. But after all these years, the idea that the metzias of the Rebbe is life is undeniable. It's undeniable because the Rebbe is more living, bepashtus, today than yesterday, and then the day before yesterday. You see it primarily by the oil, where the Rebbe spoke once about 770 in the Sikha of Beis Habin and Shebabavel, that the Beis Hamikdash is called Tel Talpias, Tel Shakol HaPiyes, Peinim L'Sham, all mouths turn towards this mound, and the oil is the ultimate Tel Talpias. Everybody comes there. And people are not coming to the oil because they're on Taurus. People are coming to the oil because it's Lebedik, Bepashtus Lebedik. And it's a source of brachas and eises umevsim, and it's also a source of eitzah. And people get clarity in their lives in a very, very real way. So if years ago people could have had tzveikis, today it's impossible to have a tzveikis because you see the metzias. The fact is, there's no more living place than the oil, than the Rebbe. So the question is, in context, how was Rosh Chodesh Kislev distinct? And I guess there's a number of different ways of answering the question. And the simplest answer to the question is that Rosh Chodesh Kislev gives us so much more of the chayes of the Rebbe. The chayes of the Rebbe after Rosh Chodesh Kislev gives so much more of the chayes of what the Rebbe is than without Rosh Chodesh Kislev. So the idea that in general the metzias of the Rebbe is living is not only makif, it's not only a basic idea that the Rebbe is living, but there's also a pnimi, that the Rebbe inspires and the Rebbe teaches, and the Rebbe counsels and directs and guides and so on. And as far as this is concerned, the Chodesh Kislev is an incredibly important day, because the Chodesh Kislev increases in all of those pnimius de hashpois that we got from the Rebbe after the Chodesh Kislev. And I suppose you could add this, that Chassidim, the Chodesh Kislev is not a Yom Tov that the Rebbe made. The Chodesh Kislev is a Yom Tov that Chassidim made. Although I remember distinctly that I think in Memches, the Rebbe said on Rosh Chodesh Kislev, Good Yom Tov, or Memtes, the Rebbe said himself, Good Yom Tov, but it's a Yom Tov of Chassidim. And it's a Yom Tov that Chassidim made to celebrate the Rebbe's health. So it's like many other Yomim Tovim. When you choose a particular day and you connect it to a particular thing, it becomes connected to that particular thing not only in a narrow way but in a broad way. In other words, once it was decided by Chassidim that the day that we celebrate the Guf Gashmi of the Rebbe and the Brias of the Rebbe, the Chodesh Kislev, it extends not only to that event, but it extends to all ideas of the Rebbe's health, including the idea of his Galus of Mashiach, and we'll see the Rebbe again. And one last thing that I'm going to mention, which the Rebbe did talk about in Tafshin Nun Beis, was the connection between Kislev and the Rebbe. Right? It's far from coincidental that first of all the Rebbe would always refer to Kislev as the Chassidish Chodesh, all the most important days in our calendar, the Chassidic calendar, or many of the most important days. in the Hasidic calendar in the month of Kislev, not the least of which is Chanukah, which is a Hasidic Yom Tov, because it's connected to Shemen and Mesiras Nefesh and so on, as it's explained in so many sichos. And in Kislev, there are 2 days connected to the Rebbe. Tezvav Kislev, when the Rebbe got married, although the official date of the Rebbe's wedding is Yudalad Kislev, but the fact is the Rebbe got married Tezvav Kislev. And I've been told by people who have seen it that the Rebbe's Ksuba, which was rewritten, doesn't say Yudalad Kislev, it says Tezvav Kislev. And Rosh Chodesh Kislev. So the Rebbe spoke about these 2 dates in Pashas Toldos, Tavshin and Beis. And what he explained was that there are 2 distinct moments in every month that are connected to the Jewish people. The 15th day of the month, the moon is full. The first day of the month, the moon is born. The advantage of the moon being full is obvious. It represents the fullness of the moon in what you see. Rosh Chodesh Kislev is connected to the birth of the moon. And when the moon is born, it's very small. But that's the Yesh Mayayin, that's the miracle. From nothing to something is the beginning of everything that's going to come later. And the Rebbe connected it to Mashiach, that it says by Mashiach, Matzasi David Avdi, that Mashiach comes b'derech Metzia, comes from nothing into something, particularly since he's a Bar Nafla and so on. So the connection between the Rebbe and Rosh Chodesh Kislev becomes enhanced further when you think about it on a Ruchniyazdika level, as the Rebbe explained it in this Sikhe, that the Inyan of Rosh Chodesh Kislev has to do with Mashiach, a birth, a beginning, which then expands and grows and grows and grows until you have a full Hiskalus. And we should be zeichet to see the Rebbe now, and we won't have any questions about why we celebrate Rosh Chodesh Kislev.